In this video, I'm going to show you how to build your first app with Lovable, even if you're a complete beginner with zero coding experience. We will set up our app in Lovable, connect it to Supabase for user login, sign up, and data storage, and even connect it with OpenAI for some AI capabilities. So if you follow me along until the end of this video, you know everything you need to build your first app with Lovable. Let's get started. So this is the app that we are going to build. It allows us to summarize YouTube videos and also chat with the knowledge of it. As a new user, we can log in over here and then add a new video, paste a video link, and then start. And then we will be presented with a full summary of the video and can also go ahead and ask some questions about it. So what is this video about? So this video demonstrates how to build fully automated outreach systems, what tools are being used. So the tools used are LinkedIn, Airtable, Appify, SmartLead, and GPT. Now let's start building this. So to get us started, I sketched out the idea that I have over here in Excalibur, just a few wireframes over here. So I think we're gonna have a sidebar like this and see the recent YouTube videos that we scraped over here, have our logo up here, and be able to start a new or enter a new video link, which is going to be over here. So simple input box, and then we can start scraping. And then in the end, I want to have something like this, where we have maybe a thumbnail embedded, see the video title, and then two buttons to switch. So if I click over here, we see the summary. And if I click over here, I want to chat with the transcript or want to chat with the knowledge of the video. So I will just go ahead and take screenshots of the wireframes that I have over here and bring them into Lovable. And I've also went ahead and created as a first starting prompt over here. So I want to build a modern web app that allows the user to paste a YouTube video link. We then take the link to scrape the video in the backend and present the user a summary of the YouTube video. Also, there will be a feature that allows the user to chat with the knowledge of the video. And I built a wireframe of the main screen of the app. Let's start with this one first, just focus on the UI. We'll build out the backend later. That's always what I like to do. I always prompt it to just first focus on the UI, which means like the design, the front end of it, and also just start with one screen. So we build out all the functions in the backend later on, and also can use this to iterate, to build more screens and go from there. So let's just get started and let Lovable do its thing. And while it is running, let's quickly take a look into our editor over here. So on the left side, we have our chat with Lovable. And then Lovable usually goes ahead and writes a short thinking process of our prompt. So for example, in the first version, I will implement modern sidebar, main content area with URL input, tab design to switch between summary and chat. So it's always cool to see kind of the thinking process and see if it understands what we actually want to modify. Now on the main side over here, that's where we will have the preview of our app. It's right now spinning up the visual preview, but Lovable actually goes ahead, as we see down here, and turns our prompt that we have, turns it into actual code. And also over here, we have this little switcher where we can see the full code base in the backend. So we see all the components. For example, it creates like different UI components, like an avatar, a chart, which we don't really need for our app. But you also don't need to worry about this if you're just starting out. It's just to understand the concept that there's some code being written in the backend. And with this little switcher, we just see the preview of the code. Our preview, let's see. Not bad, I have to say. Good start. So it came up with a logo called our app Clip Chat. That's pretty close to the screen I gave it. And here we have the history. Of course, we right now don't have any logic over here, so I cannot click on any items. Nothing is really happening. But yeah, really like the start of it. So there's always two main ways to make changes to our app. The first one being we have this little edit button down here, and then we can kind of point and click anywhere in the app. For example, if I want to select this one and have a white background, we can do it here. So the background is now white. I can also go ahead and click on any text. For example, if I want to call it tube chat, we can just modify the text. And whenever you can, just use this little edit button. First, because it's way quicker than just prompting Lovable to make an edit. That always takes more time. Plus, all of these changes that you make through point and click, they're free. Like any chat message you type over here, that's costing you credits. So yeah, whenever you can, whenever you have a simple change, just use this edit button. And the second way to make changes is to prompt Lovable down here, which is our main way. Also, if you want to have some more complex changes, so I can, for example, go ahead and say in the history, I want to show a preview of the video thumbnails. So it will go ahead, take a look at our prompt, think about it. I'll update the history items to display video thumbnails. It writes our code over here, and then in a minute we will see the changes hopefully working over here. So there we go. We now see some thumbnails over here, which of course are not the correct ones because this is just some dummy data that we see. So the first screen is cool, but of course we cannot make any changes over here. So let's go ahead and add the functionality. And in order to do so, I brought this little graphic over here for a quick explainer. So the front end over here is what we see right now. So that's our screen. That's later on also what the user is going to see, but there's no real functionality. So we need a backend over here where we can do different things, like for example, user authentication, the whole login and sign up process, storing data. So we want to store the titles of our YouTube videos, store the summary, and also some edge functions, which we will come to later, that gives us functions outside of our app. For example, use a third-party API like OpenAI, or we will also have some API to actually transcribe the video. But again, we come to that in a second. Let's begin setting up the backend, and the recommended software to do so, because it's already integrated with Lovable, is Supabase. So it's a very powerful backend tool. We can just click over here, and then first time you see this, you probably need to create a Supabase account and link it to Lovable over here. There should be a big button to do so. And then once you're linked, we need to create a new project down here. Let's call this tube chat. Give it a password. Just going to use this one over here. And then for the region, like where your server is going to be based, always pick one closest to your users. And then we can go ahead and create the project. So this is going to take a minute. Supabase will set up your backend database now. You can now go back to Supabase, and you should see your project down here in the list, and we can just click to connect it. See, it is connected, and then we can close this one. And then Lovable already recognizes your app is now connected to Supabase, and it even gives us some instructions of what should we set up next, and we're actually going ahead and do that now. So let's start up with the user authentication. So we want them to sign up for it and also log in to just be able to see the data that's associated with them. I'm just going to prompt Lovable, build the sign up and sign in functions. And that's a beautiful thing about Lovable. Once it is connected with your Supabase, you don't really need to make all these edits of all these tables and authentications inside of Supabase. You can just instruct Lovable, and it knows how to generate code directly to your Supabase. So what it does down here is it is writing some SQL. SQL is just a language to prompt our backend database. It may look a little bit complicated in the beginning, but I would recommend just take 10 minutes to get a little bit familiar with it, because it's actually quite easy and reads quite natural. So if we read through it, we can already see create a table called profiles, where we're going to store a username, an avatar over here. And it even gives the database some policies, so a user can read their own profile. A user can update their own profile, right? So it makes sense to understand some of these to just double check, hey, do we actually do the right thing over here? It even starts creating a video table over here, which I actually don't want it to do right now. So I'm gonna say just set up the sign up and login and profile table. Let's do the video table later. And that's why it's always confirming with us, hey, am I actually understanding this right? Am I doing the right thing? So it now goes ahead. Again, we have our profile tables over here, which is fine. All those policies. And then, yeah, that's it. So I'm going to say apply changes. And it's now going ahead and actually executing it. So I implement the authentication UI components for sign up and login. If we go to Supabase, like we have all our users later on going to be stored over here. And that's also why Supabase is a very powerful tool, because it has all these authentication methods already built in, which we see down here. So the most typical one, which we all know, is signing in with an email and a password. But probably you have some software where you sign in with Google, or I don't know who uses Facebook to sign in. But all of these are built in to Supabase. But for this tutorial, we keep it simple. We just want to be able to sign in with email. And I'm also going to make a change over here. So usually when someone signs up, they need to confirm an email. Just for our testing over here, I'm disabling it to save us a step. And you could also go ahead and set some password requirements, anything you need over here. But let's keep it simple. Let's just let the user sign up with an email and a password that can be as simple as he wants. Let's go back over here. All right, I've implemented the authentication using Supabase. Here's what I created. So you see, because we haven't logged in yet or signed up, it throws us out of the app. We're still seeing the sidebar, which I don't want it to do. So on the sign up and sign in page, just show the form to either sign in or sign up, but don't show any sidebar or anything from the app yet. You can include the logo though. I'm using an app, by the way, that's called Whisperflow, where I can just talk into it and it turns my speech into text. Just makes the whole development process much quicker. So it updated our auth page over here. We now have the option to either sign in or sign up. Cool, so let's sign up our first user. I'm just gonna use mine, sign up. And then we already see we are signed in with the user. And if we look at this in Supabase, in the users, I'm gonna quickly refresh this. We see our first username being displayed here. So we set up the first part over here, which is user authentication. Now no one can access that hasn't an account with us. And everything is stored into Supabase. Let's set up the second part, which is an actual database. So what we want to store over here is some information about the videos that we are processing, right? And we can go ahead and in the table editor, either add our table over here, or we can just simply instruct Lovable to do this for us. So I want to create a new table in Supabase that is called videos with the following columns. So let's think through what data we actually need to store. First, for the video, we need to store the URL, which the user inserts. Then we're going to store the title. We're going to store a summary, and then also a transcript, which we can use to later on chat with. So yeah, let's create this table first. So it's going ahead and create the video table with all these different column headers over here, all of type text, some policies. I will come to that in a second, but all of them make sense. And then apply changes. All right, it says it has successfully created the table. Let's watch this over here. We already see it added a new table called videos with all of those column headers, right? So we're going to store URL, title, summary, and transcript. And over here in the visualizer, we also see that we have this new table. And Lovable and Supabase implemented something that is very important for security that is already pre-built in, and it's called row level security. Now, what does that mean? It basically means like a row level, right? Like all the different videos that we have, each is a row, and the columns are URL, title, summary, and so on. But row-level security is that a user can only access the data of a certain row if it's the actual user, right? So we store with all of these data. For example, we have our first video, its title, summary. We also store which user does it belong to. And that makes sure a user can only access all the videos that he or she transcribed there, or he or she stored in our database. Very important. And yeah, by now, Lovable is doing a great job, and Supabase, they always make sure this is by default. So we always add this to any table that we create. So we have now set up the database where we can store all of this video data, and we have the front end where we will show all of these data. Now we need to actually go ahead and create a function to, when someone clicks this scrape video or start video button, that we are getting the transcript, summary, and having all those functions. How do we do that? We need something called an edge functions. Edge functions are something that is pretty much like a workflow sitting on your Supabase. So we are able to trigger a workflow over here, and that will then go ahead and we can have access to some applications or third-party APIs outside of our app, right? So there's no built-in function in Supabase or in our front end that can go ahead and scrape a video. We need something like n@n, for example, to get the transcript and summary, and we need something like a large language model, OpenAI, to chat with it. So let's first build out this part over here. So user comes with a YouTube video URL, and we want to trigger that we actually get the transcript and summary. So I went ahead and set up this very simple workflow over here in n@n for us, which I have a lot of videos on n@n already on my channel if you want to know how to set these up. But this is pretty much very simple. So we need an input, which is a webhook, saying our app, hey, give us a link to a YouTube video, and that is our input. We're passing that over here. And then we have a second node that is connected to Apify. So we just need to insert this URL. So Apify is a website where you can scrape different other websites. In this case, we have one for YouTube. And we just need to input a YouTube video link. And then we get back the YouTube video title, a transcript, and yeah, that's pretty much a title and transcript. So I've set it up like this, just post over here on this YouTube transcript scraper. We also get the endpoint we need to set up. I just copied the whole thing from here, put it in the URL over here. And then we also need to send a body, which is JSON. And I got it from this one over here. So just put into JSON, copy the whole thing. But we want to dynamically replace this with the URL that we send over from our app. So this gives us a transcript and a title. And I have a second node over here that generates a summary. So set up a GPT node that for the system prompt says you're an expert YouTube transcript analyzer. You will be presented a full transcript of the YouTube video, deeply understand the full transcript, and output a 250-word summary of it. And I gave it some more instructions, which you can just copy. And then we have the input URL, and we send back the following: the video URL. I just send it back again. The video title, the transcript, and the summary, right? So with this, we pretty much build out our own API where we send over some input and get some output. And let's now connect this with our app. We want to set it up as an edge function over here to get transcript and summary. So I'm go back to Lovable. All right, so this is the prompt that I created. So I said create a new edge function. When the user clicks the start button over here, take the YouTube video URL and send it to this webhook. So that's the webhook URL that we got from n@n. Over here, production URL. The video URL must be sent over in the webhook body with the variable name video URL. We need to have this exact variable name over here. So this function pulls it from the webhook that we send over. The webhook will respond with the following body. So it will send back the video URL, video title, video transcript, video summary. Also, we need to send over a header authentication called API key I will provide the key next. So since we don't want anyone to just call this URL, we have set up an authentication over here, which, you can just set an header authentication, create a new credential, and then I've set it up in a way where it says API_key. And don't tell anyone, but for the value, I just inserted password, and I'm going to provide this next. And then make sure to store all data in the video table in Supabase and also present the user with the information. I will create the edge function to handle sending the YouTube video URL. And then over here, we're going to add our API key, which we set up in initn, and you remember it's password. And I'm going to submit it. All right, so I've created an edge function that sends your video URL to the initn webhook and processes the response. So let's see this in Supabase. Down here, we have edge functions, and we already see we have a new function called process YouTube, which is over here. And we also stored our initn API key. So when now a user requests that we scrape a new video, we call our Supabase. It knows the edge function for it is going to call the initn workflow over here and has the API key stored also in Supabase, calls it, waits for it, and then inserts the database. At least that's the plan. So let's test it out. I'm going to insert a video link over here from one of my own videos. And we see it's processing. If you now go into initn, we see that a process over here is running. So that one is successful. Let's go back and wow, there we have it. We have the thumbnail, which we didn't store, but that's automatically pulled in. We see the YouTube video title, summary. It now even pulls the whole transcript, which I don't want, but hey ho. And the chat function is not working. So if we see this in Supabase, let's go to our table editor. And in the profiles, we now see a new video. So we know the video URL over here. We have the title. We see the summary, which we generated with initn, transcript, and also store, because of the row level security, star which user it belongs to. Beautiful. All right. So I want to quickly remove the transcript. Get rid of the transcript tab. We only want to store this in the back end. So yeah, no value for me for the transcript. I just want to switch between summary and chat. All right, now we see nothing over here. I don't see the history of videos. So make sure the user always sees all videos that he has access to in the sidebar and can open them up again. Let's fix this. Cool, so now we see it again. And just to get some more practice, I actually want to go ahead and this one over here turn into 16:9, which is the YouTube thumbnail format. And then let's also get rid of this button over here, because down here is where we start an actual new search. And then in the summary, I see the line breaks are right now getting shown like this. So in the summary, show as line breaks. Cool, so we're now showing line breaks over here in the summary. Now, one more function I want to implement over here is this chat feature. So we have all of the YouTube video transcript stored in the backend. And as a user, I don't want to watch the whole video. I want to ask specific questions about the video and receive an answer back, kind of in this chat format, right? And in order to set this up, probably you have already guessed it, we need another edge function down here, which this time will be easier. So we just need to implement OpenAI and instruct it to chat with our transcript. So coming back to Lovable, I now want to implement the feature that allows the user to chat with the YouTube video. I will provide you an OpenAI key. Make sure to set up another edge function that allows this. So the chat should only be based on the YouTube video transcript, nothing else. So let's set up the new edge function. So it creates the new edge function. And for the OpenAI key, it even shows us where we're gonna find one. So you need to set up an account with OpenAI and be redirected over here. And then we can just create a new secret key, which I'm going to call tube chat create secret key. And then I'm going to copy this one and bring it back into Lovable. Submit. So it creates the edge function. And if we see in Supabase, yeah, we have a new function over here called video chat. And also our OpenAI key got stored down here. Let's test this out. What is this video about? This video is about building an AI bookkeeper that automates the process of collecting receipts and so on. So perfect, already works. Give me an overview of the steps to set up this AI bookkeeper. Perfect. So we only have a formatting issue over here. This one over here is called Markdown. In the chat function, make sure to show Markdown correct. All right, so let's see this again. We can even open up our app in full screen over here. Break down the steps to set up an AI bookkeeper. Oh, written wrong, but anyways. There we go. We even have now like this headings being shown correct, and then all those steps being shown as bold, which is perfect. And of course, we could now go ahead and make some further changes to it, like change the UI, make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, add some more functions. But actually by now, you know all the principles that you need to know, like making changes to your front end, adding new tables to store more data, or even implementing some edge functions to give it kind of superpowers and give your app more capabilities. I will go ahead and add the template to this Lovable app and also the full n8n workflow that you've seen into our school community. So feel free to check it out if you want to learn more about building products and systems with AI. And if you want us to work with your company on your project, you can get in contact with me through the first link in the video description. Also, in this video over here, we built another app with Lovable and n8n where we scrape Google Maps data and also built out the full n8n workflow together from the scratch. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to build us next, and I will see you in the next one.